Yo, 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 what's going on? Welcome to the Intellectual Juggernauts podcast hosted by the one and only Mike Sean. Now, today we have a very special guest and we have a very special topic. The topic is reparations. So I'm going to hand it over to my special guest and he's going to state his name and he's going to state his position.
What's going on, everybody? My name is Timothy Joe, aka Broadway. I want to thank my boy for inviting me onto the show to deal with this hot topic. I'm not here to make anybody mad or anything. I just want to give my honest opinion. I respect yours. Please respect mine. We can just have a good conversation. So I'm ready to get into it.
That's what's up. So this particular topic seems to come up, I want to say, every year around this time when we're moving into the Black History Month, MLK weekend, all that good stuff. So. Right. Reparations, if you don't know what that is, go ahead and Google it. I'm pretty sure most of us know what reparations is, and some of us support reparations, some of us don't. So we're just here just to kind of give you a different insight on what's going on. So basically, as far as reparations, my brother.
Yeah.
Do you support reparations? Why or why not?
I do not. And before the angry letters get started, I've just been raised on let's just be fair. Make the playing field as flat as it can be, where everybody have the opportunities that another group may have that the other ones don't, and let me work for it.
Gotcha.
The idea of reparations to me, our people were done horribly, and that's history. I don't shy away from history, as ugly as it is. And I know there should be some kind of a payback, but where I come in from, the reason why I don't support it is that the folks who did those things and the folks who were under that kind of oppression are not here anymore.
Gotcha.
And it just kind of bothers me, like, well, why would I make somebody's descendant who had nothing to do with what happened pay me anything? Gotcha. It's almost like you're paying for the sins of your father. And it's like, I had nothing to do with that. And I'm not saying, and let me just go ahead and just give this disclaimer. I don't want everybody to lump everything I'm saying in one group or whatever. There's some white people who were mean and evil and they did those things, and there's some white people who knew that was wrong and they did their best to help us, and some of them died along with us. And so I'm just not a part of the whole, you owe me something because something bad happened to my forefathers. And one thing that we do as black people, we like to cherry pick. What's good across in our realm as black people is like it doesn't match up with any other demographic, any other race. It's like we get a special get out of free card because of who we are, what we went through, more than saying like the principle behind the matter. What is this right or wrong, or if it's wrong, how we correct it? And it's like there's a white answer, there's an Asian answer, there's a black answer, and that has always bothered me because I'm thinking right and wrong doesn't have a color to it. But we kind of say, well, we were done so badly, we should have this and extra. Gotcha. That's just something that always kind of like, well, why is that?
So let me ask you this, too. So you being a black man married to a black woman.
Yes. And
having a black family.
Mm-hmm.
So when you state your position on reparations, do you get any kind of kickback or?
I'm pretty sure I will. But, I had to tell you the story that when me and my wife were going, we was in Low Mill, and Low Mill, they have all kinds of events and things like that, but I guess it must have been like a talk about reparations, and this white lady came up to me and my wife, and she was just like really apologetic. I'm just like, oh, I give my money to, this fund to help blacks as what my foreparents did, and I feel so horrible, and it was to the point where it's like, it got uncomfortable. I'm like, lady, calm down. It's all right, and I'm just thinking like, I don't want your money. I don't want anything from you. I mean, okay, you feel bad about what happened. Okay, I understand. But you don't owe me anything. You didn't have me out in the fields working day and night, whipping and the torture and, the taking of our women and raping and all that kind of stuff. You're like, you had nothing to do with that. So why are you apologizing for something you didn't even take part in?
But let me ask you this. Do you think that she's benefited in the past and currently from, let's just say, the institution of slavery? Do you think that's why she has that guilt trip when she did kind of come to you and she was kind of paternalistic towards you. It sounds like.
And I can understand that because a lot of things that happened back in those days is stuff that black people built. The houses, the nice things they had, the maids, the servants, or whatnot, what have you, whatever. It's like, they was living good, but on the backs of other people. And it was wrong. And it is still wrong. And it's just one of the things about how you deal with that kind of guilt. Is that guilt, is it rational? I mean, is it supposed to be there? Or is it something that you just feel so condemned about that you shoulder it unnecessarily? And that's what she came off as. It's like, you feel bad about what happened in the past. And I understand that, I wouldn't exactly want you to cheer about it. It's nothing to celebrate in. But
Gotcha.
at the same time, I think she's taken on more than what she should. As far as, you want to feel like you give your money to a cause, it's your business. But I don't want you to feel guilted in doing anything that you just like, I must do something to make up for what my parents did.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
So my position, I personally believe that the people who have benefited from slavery the most and who were actually given reparations were white folks. I mean, your white slave owners, they were given their land and they were compensated for what happened after the war or during the war as well. So me personally, I don't oppose giving reparations for slavery, but I do oppose giving reparations to a group of people that have the spending power of over $1.7 trillion or $1.7 trillion. And the thing is like if you look at the black community, the average lifespan of a dollar is 6 hours. If you look at the lifespan of the dollar for the Chinese community, or the Asian community, I should say, it's somewhere roughly almost a month. The Jewish, about half that. So I don't think that a lump sum is going to do any kind of benefits to a people that we don't have the mental capability to.
I'm glad you said that.
To take on that kind of money. But I do believe that we deserve some kind of reparations. And it might not be monetarily. Mm-hmm. It could be in some other form. But I do believe that we deserve some kind of reparations. And one thing too. So I've kind of tackled with this for the last 20 years. I have taken a lot of political science courses at the great state, not Alabama State, Alabama A&M University. So I know when I was an undergrad, we read a book by a gentleman by the name of Randall Robinson, and the book was called The Debt. And so this is back in the early 2000s. This was the first time that I actually dived into what reparations would look like, so to speak. So it's a great book. You guys can find it on Google, find it on Amazon. I believe on Google you can search for a free PDF, right? So as far as reparations go, one of my concerns is who's going to pay the reparations and who's going to receive them. So as far as paying the reparations, do we tax everyone who's benefited financially or who benefited financially from slavery? If that was the case, you would see a lot of descendants from black slave owners that would have to foot the bill. As far as Africa, would we start taxing the descendants of the African slave traders, the African kings who benefited from slavery? And then kind of going back to who receives them. Now, do all black people receive them? What about convicts? Do convicts receive them? You know what I'm saying? Yeah. What about if you're biracial? Do you get half of? Oh
gosh, you open up a whole nother world of scenarios.
Yeah. So me personally, I feel that we have all these black mathematicians, economics type folks. I still haven't seen like a clear plan. Mm-hmm. I haven't seen any kind of plan that's actually, how do you say it, would make any kind of sense. Mm-hmm. I mean, we have you have your guys on YouTube like your Dr. Boyce Watkins. He always preaches about reparations, but I haven't seen a clear cut plan that covers everything. And kind of back to the whole things, if all black people should get reparations, there's over 1 million black men in prison. Right.
Right.
So should they receive reparations? or felons, because if that's the case, then what about these felons or these convicts who created murder and genocide on their own community, and then all of a sudden they're given $50,000 just for being black? So that's why I have a problem with this. So I do think that we should be given some kind of reparations. I'm not sure if it's a lump sum. Now, I do believe that if we were given a lump sum, a lot of black folks would do the right thing with them. Now, I'm not one of this notion that we're all going to squander it. Now, I do know that a lot of us will. So me being a business owner,
right.
I support reparation because, Rocket City Classic Cars, it might be the #1 dealership in Huntsville. Mm-hmm. By the way, go to RocketCityClassicCars.com. 0% interest. We got you. So, sorry about that. Hey, I got to promote, So, in a nutshell, I just don't think that at this point we have the mental capacity and economic fortitude for the vast majority of us giving a lump sum. We have to re-educate ourselves before we can even take on that kind of money. Because, like I said earlier, and I don't want to hog the podcast.
No,
I don't want to hog the episode. Everybody knows I can talk a lot. So earlier I stated that a lot of us we don't flip our dollars in the community. So quick story. On Bob Wallace, there's an institution, or there's a restaurant. I shouldn't call it institution. Well, it actually is an institution. You have a restaurant on Bob Wallace. You have Blessings, which is black owned, and you have China Taste, that is owned by a Chinese guy, and they've been there for years, right? Mm-hmm. So I was in there. I ordered me a order of sesame chicken, right? So a brother behind me ordered, and he ordered 5 chicken wings, right? So I'm thinking to myself, wow, Blessings is right next door. Why wouldn't you patronize them for fried chicken? Because we all know that black women, they can fry some chicken. I mean, historically. So I'm thinking to myself, you're gonna have a person that is gonna fry your chicken. That's not even their specialty. Mm-hmm. You're gonna pass up the black woman who's been doing it for years, for generations. Yeah. And I actually asked the brother, I'm like, hey man, have you ever tried Blessing? They have some really good fried chicken. Man, I don't want to go there. So that right there, I'm like, golly, so you don't want to patronize your people, right? Yeah. So, and like I told one friend, I said, if black folks were given a lump sum of money on Friday, by Sunday, it'd be gone. Mm-hmm. By the latest on Monday. And that's so true. So that's my position. What do you think?
Going back to the whole monetary thing, that's when you say reparation, you automatically think money or get money. And I was like, okay. I'm not really for that. I'm more for making the playing field level. And when I said that also in the black communities with the farmers, and I'm from a farming family, 4th generation. And what we are told in the black farming area, we don't get the same information as the white counterparts get. And it puts us at a disadvantage, and that's why we started a foundation about minority disadvantaged farmers down there in Hale County, Alabama. And my thing is, like, if you wanted to fix anything, come clean. Tell us about all the programs that can help us. Tell us about what's going out there, the grants we can go for. And our family, we really rang out there and letting the other group down there in that region who's losing their land or the land's going to waste and all that sort of thing. There are these programs out here that you were not told of, that you need being made aware of. Make the playing field level. I mean, I'm more of a hand up than a handout type of person. And as far as going back to the money aspect of it, I would just be like, okay, I really want us to do well with it. Some of us will squander it. I mean, Dave Chappelle did a skit all about that. It's like, black people just breaking their necks trying to give the money back to us. I mean, buying, cars, jewelry, and stuff that depreciates. But I believe that we can do good things with it, too, if that would happen. But like you brought up, you open this bottle up, all kinds of stuff might have to come out that you got to deal with. Like I said, how are you going to do it? Nobody's talked about that. They just, I guess they're more like, let's just get it and we'll figure it out along the way. You can't do that. I mean, it's like, you got all these variables that are way too numerous to go down. Like you said, you don't know, like, well, if you're biracial or 1/4 of it, or, this person locked up, this one's not. I mean, who's going to be there to make those decisions? And my thing is, can you trust a person who's in that position? Like, I'm sorry, but we live in a world where people do good and they do bad, and some of them I wouldn't trust with anything.
Yeah, and it's kind of like back to who's going to get these this lump sum. Would people get upset if Meghan Markle got a lump sum? You know what I'm saying? Are we going to get to the point where if you make X amount of dollars, you're not going to get the $50K per family member? It's going to be scaled to the needs, which that kind of brings to the fact. Well, dang, why am I being punished for trying to progress in life and whatnot? So it's a rabbit hole, and I think that a lot of our leaders or our so-called leaders, they really haven't dived into it. It's like they kind of play on our emotions. Like, yeah, just tell them they're going to get 100,000 and they're going to be on our side. But, it doesn't work like that.
No.
So I think if we are going to go that route, we have to definitely come up with a plan, a logical plan. And then back to who gets it. Now, what about the other minorities that have struggled in this country?
Yeah.
You look at the Chinese. In the 1800s, they had a Chinese Exclusion Act, which banned Chinese people from immigrating into the country, which had a lasting effect on them. They were being discriminated against in California.
Yeah.
Right. So if you guys have never heard of the Chinese Exclusion Act, go ahead and just Google it. It's one of the sad stories in our American history.
Yeah, and it happened.
Yes,
it happened. And and that's, you can't touch this subject without touching everything. And like I said in the beginning, it's like we have the black issues and we tailor it and make it fit us, and then it's like it don't travel across the board. Like, who are going to look out for the Asian group, whatever? Like, they've been done wrong. You got the Native Americans who stay getting done wrong, pushed off land, all left to right, the Trail of Tears, all that kind of thing happened. And it's like, who's going to be the one to sit at the top of the thing, decide what gets done, how it's going to get done, and implement it? You're going to have issues along the way, especially when you deal with money. It's going to be problems automatically. And like I said, you're going to have the whole, well, why did this person get more than I did? And you might have to start diving back into these genealogy type of websites and stuff to figure out, okay, how much are you of this and what you should get.
Yeah, and I think when you go that route, you will be seeing a lot of European Americans or white folks who will be getting some reparations. And how's it all going to play out? Like, it's just so much to deal with. And my big thing is the economic status of the black community, right? So we have all this money, and a lot of people say, "Oh, we ain't got no money." Well, yes, we do. We have more
buying power, spending power than any other group in this country.
And it's striking because you look at 2020 currently, right? In Huntsville, you have a lot of different hair stores, right? They're owned by Asians and Arabs, right?
Yeah.
If Madam C.J. Walker knew what was going on, I think she'd be rolling in her grave, or she probably already is. And what's crazy is, like, I've actually gone to some of these establishments, and I've noticed that all of them, like the registers, they're like always about 10 feet high. Because for one, most of the people who patronize these stores are us. They look like you and I, right?
Yeah.
But I'm like, wow, they do not trust us. And I can't think, we're like the only group of people who will allow another group of people to come into our communities and financially benefit off of products that we can do ourselves, or historically we have been doing ourselves. I mean, like you take the Italian community, right? They wouldn't allow an Asian or Hispanic person to come into their community and open up a lasagna pizza parlor, spaghetti.
Yeah, that's our thing. That's us.
That's crazy, right? But yet and still, we allow them to come to our neighborhoods and open up a chicken shack. I saw it in Detroit. There was a Arab-owned chicken shack, and I'm like, back to what I was saying before: who can cook chicken better than black women? I mean, it's so mind-boggling. So I think we need to definitely be re-educated in the form of finances, because it just doesn't make any kind of sense how we're quick to patronize people who don't look like us, right? Thinking we're getting some kind of hookup. Yet and still, those people, their kids are going to private school. Their kids are going to Madison Academy. Their kids are going to Vanderbilt when they go off to college. off of our dollars. And what's so funny is like when I was in Houston, Texas, and I'm gonna end with this. When I was in Houston, Texas for my great grandfather's funeral, I went to a liquor store, and I don't drink liquor. I don't drink the devil's nectar. I don't drink it. Everybody gets them. I just don't do it. We went to a liquor store. It was owned by an Asian American, and the way he was like just treating my cousins, I was like, you know what? I'm not going to spend any kind of money, and I suggest you guys don't spend any kind of money here as well, right? Mm-hmm. But they still did. So it's like they treat us so bad, but yet we're so willing to give them more of our money. You know, I've seen situations where the store owner will cuss out, you know, a guy who's probably has some alcoholism or he's an alcoholic or whatnot, and they'll curse him out. Get out of my store, 4 o'clock, right? 4 o'clock in the afternoon, 6 p.m. He right back there, giving him some more of his money. You know what I'm saying? So I mean that's kind of goes back to we have to kind of educate ourselves and have to start understanding what flipping the money in the community is all about, or what it looks like.
And you know, going back to, we was kind of trained that to trust each other. I mean, it was one of those things like growing up in rural Alabama, whatever, where I'm out in the country, and we grew up on looking after each other, you know, farming, whatever, you know, you're in the community where we got you, we'll take care of you, we don't want anybody going without. And something happened along the way, even back then, where it was like black people were, I guess we was told, or it was ingrained in us that we're not supposed to trust each other or something, or we supposed to, I don't know, this trust that's going on, that we will not look after each other. I'm a entrepreneur. I love art. I create art, and one of the saddest things that anybody ever said to me came from another black person, because it's like, oh, Tim, you paint all this old landscape, these old buildings, blah, blah, blah. You need to make black art because black art will sell. And then me being younger, like almost 10 years ago, I tried the black art thing. I was like, okay, well, if I do what they say, they'll support me. How many people bought it?
Probably zero.
None. And it's like, and I put it in front of one who said make black art, and I put it right in front of them, like, okay, here it is. My prices were fair. Well, I undercharged like crazy, and I still try to get over that. And it hurts my heart, because, like, you know what? Y'all do all this talk about supporting, and then when here I did my homework, I worked on my craft, I got good at it, and now like, here it is, the store is open. You'll go to somewhere else, or you'll just bypass me altogether, or at least if you didn't like the art, share it with somebody. You know.
Let me ask you this: have you ever heard of the phrase "white ice is always colder"?
No, that's new to me.
So I was told this by my grandfather. I was probably like maybe 15, and he was a black man he was born in Houston, Texas, raised in Houston, Texas, born in the 40s. Mm-hmm. And like I said, I was around 15 years old. I was a military brat, so I lived in Germany. I lived in Huntsville. I lived everywhere. And he told me something. He said that integration destroyed the black community. And at first I was like, man, that don't make no kind of sense. Mm-hmm. I've grown up with MLK during history. It just doesn't make any sense. I mean, I enjoy going to school with my white friends, all that, this and the third, right? And so it hit me when I was about in my early 20s, and I was like, wow, what he was saying, it has a lot of power behind it, right? So when he also said that white ice is always colder, at the time I didn't understand what that meant. Okay. And then even my dad had heard the term too. And he kind of explained to me that if you have a hot dog stand that's ran by a person that's not black, and you have a hot dog stand that's ran by a person who is black, a lot of us will go spend more money with the non-black hot dog stand owner. Mm-hmm. And I mean, it's the same exact ballpark hot dogs, yes. But for some odd reason, we think that their ice is always colder. Their hot dogs are always better. You look at it in any of our industries. We have a lot of people in Huntsville who do real estate, right? Yes. So they might get a couple of hits from their friends, family, people they meet out in the street about, hey, I need a realtor. I need so the realtor follows up with them, right? But months down the line, they see that, hey, they bought a new home, and they didn't buy a home using that particular real estate agent that looked like them. Now, I'm not preaching that we should only, work with people who look like us, because I have a lot of...
I'm glad you said that, because a lot of people think like, this is not to down any race. I love everybody. I don't care who you are, whatever.
Yes.
I got the love of God in my heart, and it's
Exactly.
like I go after anybody. This is how you treat us. But it's one of the things where when it's like it's dealing with a particular issue, it's like I wish we would do better. And like I say, and it's like I don't know where that mindset came from. I don't know. Maybe it came back during the slavery time. Maybe it was like you got the inside Negro and the outside Negro, and then there was that whole light skin versus dark skin thing that happened.
Oh yeah,
Don't get me started.
That's
on
for
that
another podcast.
Yeah, that's another podcast. I don't want to go on that rant. But I'm dark skinned. But we have this mentality like, if I go to this white person, I know they know what they're doing or whatever, and the black person got degrees all over the names and everything like that, and it's like the pull is like, and it may come from society, what we've been taught. I'll tell you this hurtful thing happened to me when I was a little kid. I was like in the first grade, didn't know any better, and they were having us do like little skits about drug dealing, say no to drugs, whatever. And we had to come up with a part. Who's gonna be this kid? Who's gonna be that kid? Who's gonna be the drug dealer? And I was the little black boy there, of course. And there was some white girl says like, "Oh, let him do it. He looks like a drug dealer." And I didn't understand the level of hurt that what I do now. I was like, "Wow, it's like the perception's already there. Like if somebody's doing something bad, he looks like me."
Exactly.
And it's one of those things where it's like we'll grow up with it until you start to challenge. Like, why is this? Why is it that you have a restaurant run by black people who make the fried chicken, barbecue, pulled pork, or whatever, all the stuff and love when you go Thanksgiving, whatever you're gonna fill up on, and then you have an Asian restaurant, they'll dabble in fried chicken, they'll dabble in chicken tenders or stuff like that, and like I said, well, I'd rather go to the Asian restaurant. I'm like, that mindset, like, why would you even go there? And maybe sometimes people don't even know that they're doing it.
They do it subconsciously.
It's subconscious, like, it's like a knee-jerk reaction. And you have to almost kind of snap out and say, hey, you need to try that fried chicken over there, man. And then when the response came, like, blah, blah. It's one of those things where I wish I could listen in on that conversation and be like, well, why do you feel like that?
Yeah. It's crazy.